Now I am reading section 2 and you all follow the text also while I am reading, only then you all will understand. They let themselves out through the back door, carefully looking it after them before making their way towards the house behind them. So behind their house is that house. So behind that they locked the door and they were making their way to that house. The path was overgrown with grass and weeds. When I saw it this afternoon, so daytime she saw this house. So they saw the path also. It was overgrown with big plants and weeds and all. But now at night they cannot see anything. The path was very clear, said Vandana in a puzzled tone as they reached the house. Why she was very much puzzled? Because in the afternoon when she saw, there was big plants, weeds and all on the way. Now the path was very clear and she was puzzled. Know what? You should stop reading too many mystery novels. So her sister Indu is telling, you must stop reading all these mystery novels. So her sister is telling, because she was reading too many mystery novels, she was having like this kind of thoughts and all in her mind. They had reached the door with a beautiful brass knocker. That means in some houses, in old houses and all, they'll have a round like brass round. With that they'll knock the door. That is the brass knocker. Come in, called a soft voice when they knocked. The room they entered was bathed in the soft glow of an old-fashioned brass lamp. So they entered the house and a brass lamp was lit and the room got a little light from that brass lamp. A small lady dressed in a long skirt and a frilly blouse sat near the fireplace. Now you know cold countries, they'll have a fireplace to keep themselves warm. And she was knitting. Knitting means those woolen materials like socks and all to stitch that. That's called knitting. She had grey hair and looked quite old. She was very old. Now she smiled at them. The girls had the oddest sensation of having walked into another time and age. Oddest sensation of another time and age means it was all unusual things they saw, all old things and all. So that made them looking odd, having another time and age. They thought it was another time and age, like that way the house looked. Everything seemed unreal, down to the ancient radio and gramophone. Nowadays, who's using this radio and gramophone? That was radio and gramophone was there, and an old grandfather clock also on the wall. Chimed the hour. Old grandfather's clock means one big clock. It will have great height. That was on the wall, and the clock chimed. It was 7 o'clock. Now it's 7 o'clock. Yes, my dears, it's so wonderful to have visitors. So that old lady is telling, it's very wonderful to have visitors. Come in. What can I do for you? The old lady is asking. Asked the old lady cheerfully. Collecting her wits, it was Indu who spoke first. So who spoke first? Indu. Indu, the elder sister. I'm sorry to disturb you, madam. We have come to Nainital only today and are staying in the house at the front. So she's telling that we came to stay here in Nainital for a month and we are staying in the house that is at the front. I'm Indu and this is my sister Vandana. We couldn't find candles. Our parents have gone to the market and we thought we could maybe borrow one. She spoke in a rush, in a hurry she spoke all. So she came there to borrow candle. Of course, dear, the old woman told. But first do sit, I get company so rarely. Very few I get company. So sit down. Say when any visitors come, even you all also, the first thing what you will say, sit down. Isn't it? Same way, this old lady also told to sit down. The air seemed to have suddenly turned chilly and Vandana shivered. Because it's a cold country, the air was very cold and she was shivering. Are you cold, my dear? Come and sit by the fire. Would you like a cup of hot cocoa and some scones? See, scones means it's a round cake like. It is eaten with butter and jam. So would you like some cocoa I baked today? So the old lady is telling that scones she baked today. The prospect of scones and hot cocoa was welcome. So these two liked that very much. But they hesitated. They hesitated means they are having, because she's a stranger, no. But before they could protest about being a bother, the old lady said, please excuse me, I'll be back in a wink. In a wink means I'll be back in a second. So she bustled out of, bustle means in a hurry. She went out of the room. By the way, and as she was hurrying out of the room, she was mentioning her name. By the way, I am Evelyn Brown. Miss Evelyn Brown, she called over her shoulder. So she was looking at those girls over the shoulder and introducing herself. Vandana, who was sitting closest to the door from where she left, peered at it. Peered means to look like this way. So she was peering into the kitchen, what was there in the kitchen. Look at a stove. It looks like one of those described in the old classics. Old classic means all old fashioned, somewhat many years back stove it is. She whispered. Whispered means in a low voice. A lot of people are sentimentally attached to their old possessions. Sentimentally means some will have that nostalgic feeling and sadness and all. They'll fix to that old things and all. Even now also, at present also, you can see some houses and all old things, old radio, old gramophone, some and all like that to keep that. Same with this lady. So they are thinking this lady also like that type of lady who like this old possessions things. Replied Indu, refusing to rise to Vandana's bait. Refusing to rise to Vandana's bait means she was refusing to hear to Vandana's suggestion. Even calendars, 8 years old. Why? Because on the calendar it is written 1932, that is 80 years old. So, staring wide-eyed at the calendar on the wall that belonged to the year 1932. Feeling uneasy and yet unwilling to acknowledge it, Indu replied, yes, even calendars. So same way, while listening to her sisters, even Indu also replied, yes, even calendars are very old, 80 years back. At that moment, Miss Brown walked in with a tray. By the time she came from the kitchen with a tray, bearing 2 mugs of steaming cocoa and a place piled high, means full of this with some delicious looking scones. So she came with a 2 cups of cocoa and a plate full of scones. You will love it here. I am sure there is so much to see around. So she is telling about her surroundings and all, because these two came for 1 month. So she is telling about her surroundings. She went on to tell them about the town. What about the town? It's clock tower. There is a clock tower there in the town. The vendors. Vendors means the people who sell things on the roadside with their wares, with their things laden on ponies. They'll take the goods from one place to another on the back of ponies. The sparkling lake, there is a lake there and its boats, the charm of the mall, and the tigers that roam the mountains and sometimes wandered into the town in search of prey. So she is telling to these 2 girls about her town, about the river, about the tower, about the lake, about the mall, all that she is telling. And there is also one tiger also says. Tigers, when they heard the word, the 2 both together echoed. Tigers. Even we also, when we hear about lion, tiger, even we also will feel a little scared, isn't it? Yes, the man-eaters. The tigers are usually called man-eaters. Why? Only last summer there was one on the rampage. Rampage means one was walking about, rampage, walking about in a violent manner, in an angry manner, searching for its prey. And dear old Jim had to be summoned post-haste to take care of it. Post-haste means quickly. So they have to call Jim quickly when they saw the tiger. Why? Jim, asked Indu. Surely Miss Brown couldn't mean Jim Corbett. Could not mean Jim Corbett. So you know that Here they are telling about Jim Corbett. Who's Jim Corbett? He is a British hunter. So, and also there is one wildlife sanctuary, national park in Uttarakhand, known after his name, that is Corbett National Park. So Vandana pinched means to pinch Indu, who tried hard not to win. So not to win means not to, she was feeling pain and she's not at all moving. She was standing there. She was sitting like that way. By now they were quite certain that Miss Brown were not only eccentric. Eccentric means eccentric means one strange behavior. She was having some strange behavior, but was also quite senile. Senile is there in the text, you can see in the light blue. Senile means at the old age people will forget. They'll forget something else. That is what they'll feel during the old age. To think or remember. They'll forget to think or remember. That's a sickness we find in the old people. So that's what? Senile. Just as the grandfather clock struck 7:30. So when they entered the house, it was 7 o'clock in that grandfather's clock. Now what? 7:30. That is 7:30. They heard a gate click open in front. They heard somebody opening the gate. Now you all can imagine who's that. That was their parents have come back. Thank you very much for the lovely scones and cocoa. The two girls thanked the lady. I think we should be going out. Our parents seem to have returned, said Indu, getting up. So when they heard the noise of the gate, they thought the parents have come and they got up. Bye bye, my dears, the old lady told. It has been nice having you over. Here is the candle. She gave them a homemade candle. They came for the candle, so the old lady gave them the candle. The girls thanked her again and left. The power came back. By the time the current came back, it has been a terrible 10 minutes. Everything was pitch dark, said Mr. Sharma. Their father's telling that it was pitch dark, terrible 10 minutes. We hurried back as soon as the lights went out, added Mrs. Sharma. So Mrs. Sharma was telling these two girls, we hurried from the market soon when the light went off. We know that you all two are alone here. Where have you been? They are asking those two children. Oh, we could not find any candles, so we went around to that house at the back to borrow some, said Indu. But her mind was racing. Had it only been 10 minutes? Mr. Sharma told them 10 minutes. It was in pitch dark. So these girls were remembering it only 10 minutes, because when they entered that old house it was 7 o'clock, and now when they were leaving it was 7:30. So almost half an hour they sat in that house, isn't it, in that pitch dark. So they are telling, had it been 10 minutes, hadn't they been in Miss Brown's house for nearly 30 minutes? 30 minutes they have been. I feel something is fishing. Something is fishing me. Something is here, Vandana said as soon as they reached their own room. And then, oh no, she exclaimed. What is the matter, Vandu? Her sister Indu is asking. I've forgotten to put back Miss Brown's napkin. So you know that these English people, most of the English people, when they have anything, dinner or breakfast, they'll keep a napkin, a towel in front of them, not for the food to fall over there. So that napkin she forgot to give Miss Brown. Oh well, we'll return it in the morning. Now it's already late in the night. We'll return it in the morning. Funny how time must have almost stood still while we were in there, mused Vandana. She was thoughtfully telling, her father told it is 10 minutes. We sat there almost 30 minutes, isn't it? However, the practical side of Indu made a assert. Assert means confident. So Indu got some confidence when her sister told like that way, because what her father told is wrong. I am sure Papa must have miscalculated the time. It was not less than 40 minutes at least. Now that is this lesson. So children, you all read the lesson twice or thrice and understand well. And one thing I hope you all can do after reading this, you all listen to my video, you watch my video, and then you all read the lesson, you all will understand this lesson.